The sound came first, then the shockwave, then the fireball that rose 300 feet into the Hawaiian sky. I was 200 yards away when the USS Arizona exploded, close enough to feel the heat on my face, close enough to see men turned into shadows, close enough that I should have died too. I didn't, and I've spent 9 years trying to figure out why that's worse. My name is Henry Hank Morrison, Seaman First Class, United States Navy. On December 7th, 1941, I was assigned to the USS Vestal, a repair ship moored alongside the Arizona at Pearl Harbor. I was 20 years old, from a small town in Kansas, Topeka, where nothing ever happened. Joined the Navy in 1939 to see the world, have an adventure, make something of myself. I got my adventure Sunday morning, December 7th, day off. Most of the crew was sleeping in or on shore leave. Hawaii was paradise duty. Warm weather, beautiful beaches, easy living. The brass said war was coming, but it felt distant. Europe's problem, Asia's problem, not ours, not yet. I'd pulled early watch, got off at 0600, was planning to grab breakfast, maybe head into Honolulu later. Was thinking about a girl I'd met the week before. Betty, worked at a diner near the harbor. We had a date planned for that evening. Dinner and a movie. Simple plans. Peaceful plans. Plans that assumed tomorrow would be like yesterday. I was wrong about that, too. The Arizona was a battleship, Pennsylvania class, commissioned in 1916. She'd been in Pearl since February. Beautiful ship. 31,000 tons, crew of 1,500 men. Some of them I knew. We'd trade cigarettes, play cards, share stories. Joe Dempsey from Arizona. My ship was named after his state. He thought that was funny. Carl Matthews from Tennessee. Bobby Chen from San Francisco. Good guys, regular guys. They were all on board that morning, almost all of them. I was standing on the deck of the Vestal at 0755 when I heard the planes. Didn't think much of it at first. We had aircraft coming and going all the time. Then someone shouted, pointed at the sky. I looked up and saw them. Japanese planes, dozens of them. The red circles on their wings clear as day. I remember thinking, this must be some kind of drill, some kind of mistake. Then the bombs started falling. The first explosions weren't close. Ford Island, Hickam Field. I could see smoke rising, see planes diving and pulling up. Still didn't fully comprehend what was happening. My brain couldn't process it. We were at peace. This was Pearl Harbor. This didn't make sense. Then a torpedo bomber came in low over the water. So low I could see the pilot's face. He was young. Maybe my age. Couldn't have been much older. He looked focused, professional, like this was just another day at work. His torpedo dropped, hit the Oklahoma just ahead of us. The explosion sent water 200 feet in the air. The ship shuddered, started listing immediately. That's when I understood. This wasn't a drill. This was real. We were under attack. Battle stations! Someone was screaming it. Everyone started running. Chaos, pure chaos. Men pouring out of below decks, half-dressed, confused, terrified. Anti-aircraft guns were trying to spin up. Officers were shouting orders. Planes were everywhere now. The sound was deafening. Engines, explosions, gunfire, men screaming. I ran to my station, the Vestal's anti-aircraft position. We started firing, small caliber. Wouldn't do much against bombers, but we fired anyway. Had to do something, had to fight back. The planes kept coming, wave after wave. They were attacking everything, ships, airfields, facilities. The harbor was churning with explosions. The West Virginia took multiple torpedoes. The California started sinking. The Nevada tried to make a run for the harbor entrance, but got hit again and again. And through it all, the Arizona sat there, right next to us. So close I could have thrown a rock and hit her. She'd taken a torpedo hit early, listing slightly, fires burning. But she was still afloat, still fighting. Her anti-aircraft guns were firing. I could see men on deck at their stations doing their jobs. I saw Joe Dempsey. He was manning a machine gun on the aft deck. Saw him firing at a plane, tracking it across the sky. He looked determined, brave, like he knew what he was doing. That's the last time I saw him alive. At 08:06, I know the exact time because our clock stopped at the shockwave, a Japanese bomber dropped a modified armor-piercing bomb, 1,600 pounds. The bomb penetrated the Arizona's deck near the forward magazines. The forward magazines held over 1 million pounds of gunpowder. I'd never seen anything like it, never imagined anything like it. The Arizona just came apart. The explosion was massive, unreal. The entire forward section of the ship lifted up, actually lifted out of the water, and disintegrated. A fireball erupted that rose hundreds of feet, mushroomed out, turned the sky orange and black. The shockwave hit like a physical wall, knocked me off my feet, knocked everyone off their feet, threw men overboard, shattered windows a mile away. The sound, Jesus Christ, the sound, not just loud. Loud doesn't cover it. It was elemental, like the earth was splitting open, like God himself was screaming. It rattled your bones, stopped your heart, made your ears bleed. The heat came next, intense heat, like standing too close to a blast furnace. I felt my skin tightening, my hair singeing, and I was 200 yards away. The men on the Arizona, the ones who didn't die instantly in the explosion, they were engulfed, consumed, turned to ash in seconds. The Vestal caught fire immediately. Shrapnel from the Arizona punched through our hull. Burning debris rained down on us. Oil-covered men from the Arizona hit the water on fire, screaming. Some tried to swim to us. Most didn't make it. The water itself was burning. Fuel oil spread across the harbor, ignited, turned the water into a sea of flames. I watched men jump from the Arizona, watched them fall through the fire, watched them hit the burning water, watched them thrash and scream and die. There was nothing we could do, nothing. We were fighting our own fires, trying to keep the Vestal afloat, trying not to die ourselves. The Arizona was sinking, fast. The entire forward section was just gone, obliterated. Where the bow used to be was just twisted metal and fire. The rest of the ship was going down. Men were trapped inside, hundreds of them, in compartments that were flooding, in spaces that were burning, in sections that were collapsing, pounding on bulkheads, screaming for help that wasn't coming. I could hear them. Even over the explosions, over the gunfire, over the planes, I could hear them, pounding, screaming, dying. The ship settled on the bottom in about 9 minutes. 9 minutes from explosion to grave. Some men rowed her down, trapped in compartments that became coffins. Others were blown overboard by secondary explosions, drowned in burning oil, or died from injuries sustained in the blast. 1,177 men died on the Arizona that morning, more than half the American casualties at Pearl Harbor, from one ship, from one bomb. Joe Dempsey, Carl Matthews, Bobby Chen, all gone, along with over 1,000 others, sons, brothers, fathers, husbands, men who'd woken up that morning thinking about breakfast or shore leave or writing letters home, dead in 9 minutes. The attack didn't stop. The Arizona was gone, but the Japanese kept coming. More waves, more bombs, more torpedoes. The harbor was hell. Ships burning, sinking, exploding. Men in the water everywhere, injured, drowning, burning. The air was thick with smoke and ash and the smell of burning flesh and fuel oil. The Vestal was damaged badly. Fires on multiple decks, flooding. We were taking on water, listing hard to port. The captain ordered us to cut the mooring lines to the Arizona. If we stayed attached, we'd sink with her. Men with axes hacked at the thick cables while under fire, while the ship burned around them. We got loose, barely. Started drifting toward Ford Island, still burning, still under attack. We beached her on purpose, ran her aground to keep her from sinking, fought fires for hours, all through the attack, into the afternoon, men working until they collapsed from exhaustion or smoke inhalation. I worked the bucket brigade, passing buckets of water up from below, throwing them on fires that barely seemed to notice. My hands were burned. My lungs felt like they were full of glass. I could barely see through the smoke. But I kept working. Everyone kept working. What else could we do? Stop, and we'd die. The wounded were everywhere. Men with burns covering half their bodies, men missing limbs, men with shrapnel embedded in them. We didn't have enough medics, didn't have enough supplies, did what we could with what we had. Morphine for the ones we could save, prayers for the ones we couldn't. There was a kid, couldn't remember his name, never knew his name, pulled him from the water. He'd been on the Arizona, somehow survived the explosion, somehow made it through the burning water. But he was burned bad, real bad, 3rd degree over most of his body. We laid him on the deck, tried to help him. He kept asking for his mother, just kept saying Mom over and over. He died about 20 minutes later, right there on the Vestal's deck. I was holding his hand when he went, didn't even know his name. The attack ended around 10:00, 2 hours that felt like days. The Japanese pulled back, left us with our burning ships, our dead, our destroyed fleet, left us with Pearl Harbor turned into a graveyard. When the smoke started to clear, I looked out at the harbor. It was devastation, complete devastation. Ships sinking or sunk. The Arizona's superstructure still visible above the water, smoke still rising from her. Oil fires burning on the water, bodies floating everywhere. 2,403 Americans died that day, most of them in the first 15 minutes, most of them without ever getting a chance to fight back. They let us rest around 1600, fires mostly contained. Vestal wasn't sinking anymore. The immediate crisis was over. I sat down on the deck, back against a bulkhead, and that's when it hit me. What I'd seen, what I'd survived, what had happened. I started shaking, couldn't stop. My whole body just shook like I was freezing, but I wasn't cold. I was in shock, probably. Post-traumatic stress, they'd call it now. Then we just called it being rattled. A chief found me. Old Salt must have been 40, ancient by Navy standards. He'd been through China, through Nicaragua, through everything. He sat down next to me, didn't say anything, just handed me a cigarette. We sat there smoking, watching the harbor burn. First time, he asked eventually. I nodded. Yeah, doesn't get easier. Over the next few days, we did rescue work, pulled survivors from damaged ships, recovered bodies, the ones we could reach, fought fires that kept reigniting, worked around the clock, didn't have time to think, didn't have time to process, just work, just survive. The Arizona became a tomb. They couldn't recover most of the bodies, too dangerous, too damaged. Over 900 men are still in there, still at their stations, still on duty. The Navy declared her a war grave, left them there, made it official. I volunteered for salvage duty. Stupid, probably. Should have asked for shore duty, for transfer, for anything else. But I couldn't leave, couldn't abandon them. Joe and Carl and Bobby and all the others. So I stayed. Worked salvage at Pearl for 6 months, diving in the harbor, cutting into sunken ships, recovering bodies when we could, equipment when we couldn't. Every time I dove near the Arizona, I thought about the men still inside, thought about them trapped in the darkness, thought about how they died, wondered if Joe's body was in there somewhere, if I'd swim past him and not even know. The nightmares started in January. Every night, the explosion, the fire, the screaming. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart pounding, smelling burning oil and flesh that wasn't there. My rackmates stopped complaining after a while. Half of them had the same dreams. I'm 30 years old now. December 7th, 1941 was 9 years ago, almost a decade. The war came and went. We won. beat Japan, beat Germany. Came home heroes, parades and medals and gratitude. Doesn't change what I saw. Doesn't bring back the Arizona. Doesn't resurrect 1,177 dead men. I left the Navy in '46, honorably discharged. Came back to Kansas. Tried to go back to normal life. Got a job at a hardware store. Met a girl, not Betty. Never saw her again after Pearl. Got married. Her name's Ruth. Good woman, patient woman. She tries to understand. She can't. How could she? How do you explain watching a battleship explode? Watching 1,000 men die in 9 minutes? Watching the water burn? How do you explain that you can still hear them screaming, still smell the burning flesh, still feel the heat on your face? You don't. You just say you're fine and change the subject. I can't swim anymore. Can't even look at water without feeling it. The panic, the fear, the memory of that burning harbor. Ruth wanted to take a vacation to a lake last summer. I made excuses. Couldn't tell her why. Couldn't tell her that water isn't water anymore. It's a grave. December 7th comes around every year, the anniversary. They do ceremonies now, remembrances. Ask veterans to speak. I went once in '47, stood up there and tried to talk about it. Got through maybe 2 sentences before I had to sit down. Couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. Had a panic attack right there in front of everyone. Haven't gone back since. Ruth asks me sometimes about that day, what it was like, what I saw. I give her the sanitized version, the one that doesn't include watching men burn alive, the one that doesn't include pulling a kid from the water and watching him die asking for his mother, the one that doesn't include the sound of men pounding on bulkheads as they drowned. I give her the version I can live with. The truth I keep locked away. I read in the paper last year that they're talking about building a memorial, something over the Arizona, to honor the men who died there. Part of me thinks that's good. They deserve to be remembered, deserve to be honored. Part of me thinks it's obscene. Building something pretty over a mass grave, turning tragedy into tourism. People will visit, take pictures, feel sad for 5 minutes. Then go get ice cream and forget. They won't understand. They can't. They weren't there. They didn't see it, didn't hear it, didn't smell it, didn't feel the shockwave in their chest, or the heat on their face, or the panic in their throat. They didn't watch their friends die. I think about Joe Dempsey sometimes. Wonder what he'd be doing if he'd lived. He wanted to be a teacher, history teacher. Used to talk about it all the time. How he'd go to college on the GI Bill, get his degree, teach kids about the world. He was smart, would have been good at it. He's still on the Arizona, still at his gun station, still 22 years old forever. I'm 30, got 8 years on him now. In another 8, I'll be twice as old as he ever got to be. Doesn't seem fair. He was braver than me, better than me. Why did I survive and he didn't? I was on the Vestal by random assignment. Pure luck. If I'd been assigned to the Arizona instead, I'd be dead. If he'd been on the Vestal, he'd be alive. No reason, no justice, just chance. That's what keeps me up at night. Not just the memories, not just the nightmares, the randomness of it, the meaninglessness. I survived because I was standing in a different place. That's it. That's the only reason. And now I get to live with what I saw. Get to carry it forever. Get to remember for all of them. Because someone has to, right? Someone has to remember Joe and Carl and Bobby and that kid whose name I never knew. Someone has to carry their ghosts. So I do. I carry them. Every single day. Every night when I can't sleep. Every December 7th, when everyone else is remembering Pearl Harbor as a date in history, and I'm remembering it as the day I watched my friends burn. The USS Arizona is still there, still at the bottom of Pearl Harbor, still leaking oil. They call it the tears of the Arizona, the oil that seeps out, Poetic, I guess. Doesn't change what it is. A tomb, a grave, a reminder. I haven't been back to Hawaii. Can't. Ruth wants to go. She's never been. Thinks it would be beautiful. Paradise, she says. Tropical paradise. I can't tell her that for me, Hawaii isn't paradise. It's a graveyard. The Arizona is there. Joe is there. All of them are there. And I can't face them. Can't face what I survived and they didn't. I got my life, got to come home, got to get married, got to have a future. They got a tomb at the bottom of a harbor and a name on a memorial wall. I was 200 yards away when the USS Arizona exploded. Close enough to feel the heat, close enough to see them die, close enough to survive when I shouldn't have. And I've spent 9 years wishing I hadn't, wishing I'd been on the Arizona instead of the Vestal, wishing I'd gone down with them so I wouldn't have to carry this, wouldn't have to remember, wouldn't have to survive. They call us the greatest generation, say we saved the world, say we're heroes. I'm not a hero. I'm a survivor. And surviving isn't victory. It's just living long enough to remember everyone who didn't. The Arizona exploded at 0806 on December 7th, 1941. 9 years later, I'm still watching it happen, still seeing the fireball, still hearing the screams, still feeling the heat, still wishing I'd died with them, because the dead are at peace, and I'll never be at peace again.